Hello everyone, welcome to Sift Insights. In the past decade, we have witnessed a lot of geopolitical incidents like the Russia-Ukraine war, the US-China trade sanctions, and the most recent one, the US-Iran war. And the one answer which everybody is looking for is why the UN not intervening? Why the UN is not stepping in to resolve these conflicts? To know more on this topic, stay tuned with me.
Let's start with the first one, the veto power. The UN Security Council has five permanent members: the US, the Russia, China, the United Kingdom, and France. And each one of them holds a veto power. That is, the ability to block any resolution, no matter how much global support it has. But in practice, this veto power has actually become a tool of paralysis. Permanent members can veto any resolution that hurt their interests. So when the Russia is involved in a conflict, Russia can simply veto any action against herself. When the US wants to shield an ally, it can veto criticism of that particular ally. The result is a deadlock at the time of crisis. Second is no enforcement power. UN made three big promises when it was founded: peace and security, human rights, development and cooperation. But here's the uncomfortable truth: the UN has no independent enforcement power. It can pass resolutions, it can call for ceasefires, it can impose sanctions, but it has no army, no police force, no military to enforce these actions. Everything depends upon the member countries voluntarily choosing to comply, and countries can choose to ignore these resolutions and delay the actions. The third one is funding constraints. We all know that money is power, and the UN doesn't have much financial independence when it comes to money. The UN's peacekeeping budget is about $6 to $7 billion a year, but nearly 22% of that budget comes from the US, 15% from the China, and the remaining funding depends upon the voluntary contributions made by the member countries. The UN's financial dependence on member countries undermines its strategic autonomy, and due to this, any decisive action in sensitive conflicts is nearly impossible. This creates a massive problem as the biggest donors like the US, China can threaten to walk out of the door if their demands are not met. Next is outdated organizational structure. Here is a structural problem that does not get talked about enough. The UN was designed in 1945 to restore the war-torn economies and rebuild the world. However, in this 21st century, war has taken new avatars in the form of cyber warfare, proxy conflicts, terrorism, and economic sanctions. The UN has limited framework and even more limited authority to handle any of these. Also, the decision-making process in the UN is slow and bureaucratic. By the time UN responds, the crisis has already reached its peak. There is also a problem related with the representation of the member countries. Top economies like India, the UAE, the Saudi have no permanent seat at the table, and therefore they have limited authority in contributing to the global security. The last one is geopolitics. Finally, and perhaps the most fundamentally, is geopolitics. Countries at the UN, they don't vote based on what's right. They vote based on who their allies are. The Western blocs, they align together for their own economic, military partnerships and regional interests. This makes a genuine consensus nearly impossible. And there is also a selective enforcement by the UN. The UN might respond forcefully to one conflict while staying silent on the another. Not because one situation is worse, but because of who's involved and whose interests are at stake.
Okay, so considering the above constraints, it might look like the UN has not been able to achieve its objectives. However, this is not the case. UN has not been a complete failure. It has done phenomenal job in conducting peacekeeping missions in countries like Namibia, Cambodia, and helped them in transitioning towards independence. It has also helped in eradicating diseases like smallpox and polio. The need of the hour is to reform the United Nations as per the present global order so that the objective of global stability, global security, and global development can be achieved. For more such insightful videos, stay tuned to our channel. Thank you.